Thom Hartmann, Rebooting the American Dream, 11 Ways to Rebuild Our Country. Embark on a journey to rediscover the American dream as Thom Hartmann explores the revival of the United States of America through an 11-point plan. Drawing inspiration from Alexander Hamilton's historic 1791 plan, this summary examines the adverse effects of Reaganomics and the political decisions that led to a weakened middle class and industrial base. Hartmann reminds the readers of the importance of protectionism, the proper role of education and taxes in the economy, and the value of a balanced and healthy democracy. Moreover, this summary delves into alternative business models and key international examples to learn from, providing the essential blueprint for the much-needed reboot.
Rebuilding America's industrial base. In its early years, the United States had no significant industrial infrastructure, relying solely on imports for manufactured goods. In 1791, Alexander Hamilton devised an 11-point plan to boost domestic businesses and establish a tariff system, creating the industrial powerhouse the U.S. has become. However, Reaganomics and free trade policies dismantled much of this infrastructure, decimating the manufacturing base and middle class. The time has come for a new 11-point plan to reverse the damage and rebuild America's industrial base. America First. The American Recovery and Reinvestment Act of 2009, commonly known as the Stimulus Bill, saved nearly 3 million jobs. However, America's weakened industrial strength made the stimulus package create millions of new jobs in China instead of the U.S. The solution to bringing back jobs to America is to restore manufacturing plants and implement protectionism, similar to South Korea, who became a leading manufacturer in 50 years. Protectionism works, and it is necessary to lose the fascination with free trade and impose high import taxes on foreign goods. This will infuriate corporate conglomerates, which have newly received influencing powers through the Supreme Court Citizens United judgment in 2010. The Fallacy of Tax Cuts. Tax cuts for the wealthy do not equate to prosperity for all, instead, they result in stagnated wages for the working class. History shows that higher tax rates for the rich foster economic growth, whereas tax cuts destabilize markets leading to disastrous consequences. Reaganomics exemplifies this with its promotion of executive compensation and disregard for antitrust laws, leading to huge payouts for CEOs and the squeezing out of small businesses. America needs a leader to break up monopolies and bring wealth back to small businesses and communities. Clinton's higher tax rates helped pay off the country's debt. The control of megacorporations, a threat to American business. In contrast to earlier thriving local business scenes in India or America before Reagan, megacorporations now dominate the U.S. economy, which poses a problem for the American entrepreneur. Large businesses like Walmart and Home Depot avoid investing much in their operating communities, contributing to a rise in minimum wage jobs. This situation worsens when U.S. presidents fail to enforce antitrust laws. Such businesses benefit largely from government subsidies, leading to a need for new regulations that prevent these entities from dictating the marketplace. The U.S. should, therefore, consider implementing new laws to prevent intramural combat among businesses and scrap tax loopholes to restrict companies from avoiding overseas taxes. From public service to hate speech. The demise of the Fairness Doctrine and subsequent telecommunications law overhaul saw the dwindling of public service news and rise of hate speech radio. This left the electorate ill-informed, unable to make essential decisions for a healthy democracy. With the need for more information, tuition-free education is crucial in shaping knowledgeable voters. Thomas Jefferson believed in free college education to preserve the republic, despite California Governor Reagan's spending cuts. America's workforce is falling behind in the global economy, and it's time to return to tuition-free education. Rolling back Reagan's tax cuts is also essential for the country's financial recovery. Time for universal health care. Universal health care is an essential program that reduces sufferings for both individuals and businesses. Among the developed countries, only the US lacks health insurance for all citizens, and it is the only country that allows for-profit businesses to offer medical services. This results in significant insurance company profits, which subsequently inflates premiums. The Obama healthcare law did not address these challenges as it failed to expand Medicare coverage to all citizens. The U.S. should institute a Part E for Medicare, allowing anyone to buy into the system and achieve universal coverage. The power of lobbyists. In 2009, lobbyists spent over $3.5 billion to influence Congress. Some lobbyists were even given government jobs to advance their former clients' interests. To break the dominance of corporations, the Constitution needs to be amended. Unions can bring democracy to the workplace, while limiting banks' investment activities and placing the Federal Reserve under the Treasury Department could also help. Citizens are encouraged to move their money to community banks or credit unions until the government takes action. U.S. economy's reliance on oil, a call for environmental and foreign policy reforms. The catastrophic consequences of the U.S. economy's dependence on oil for transportation continue to wreak havoc on the global environment and foreign policy. Alternatives like electric and flex-fuel cars exist, but the government fails to fully embrace them. The U.S. must adopt reforms similar to Germany's 100,000 roofs program to boost the use of solar power and acquire subsidies for plug-in cars to reach a target of 25% clean energy. Denmark sets an example by aiming for half its cars to be electric by 2030. China has overtaken the U.S. in clean energy investments, making a carbon tax or cap-and-trade program a crucial step to save the future. The U.S. military's need for change. The current U.S. military is too large and relies heavily on force to spread democracy. A return to the draft, with a public service alternative, would help develop civic obligation among young citizens and prevent the military from becoming a poverty refuge. Additionally, the defense budget needs to be cut in half to recover from being stretched out of proportion by past wars. The truth about outsourcing and immigration. The global economy's outsourcing system is a modern form of slavery, fattening corporate profits while destroying American jobs and perpetuating injustices in overseas sweatshops. Similarly, penalizing businesses that hire people for rock-bottom wages rather than scapegoating illegal immigrants will raise wages and narrow the labor pool, resulting in competitive wage growth and an increase in prices. The current U.S. employment situation was a result of Reagan's supply-side economics, which generated goods but suppressed wage growth, coupled with easy credit policies that turned Americans from savers to borrowers. The return of labor unions is crucial as a counterbalance to the unchecked power of capital. Corporations and American democracy. The book argues that the Supreme Court Citizens United decision in 2010 allowed corporations to have the same free speech rights as individuals. This decision has had a negative impact on American democracy as it enables companies to spend unlimited amounts of cash to influence the electoral process. The author proposes two ways to correct this: a change in the court's membership or a constitutional amendment explicitly stating that corporations are not persons and do not have the same rights as individuals. Moving beyond traditional capitalism. The book highlights the Mondragon Cooperative as an alternative to traditional capitalism. This $24 billion federation in northern Spain is owned and managed by its employees, who earn profits in dividends and reinvest in the business and charities. The author argues that the United States must shift away from corporate ownership and towards a more equitable way of organizing businesses. He calls for a return to the Jeffersonian ideas of good and free education for all and emphasizes the need for people to engage in saving their threatened democracy.
Hartmann's Rebooting the American Dream provides a clear set of steps for reviving the nation's economy, industries, and political systems. By revisiting Hamilton's 11-step plan and highlighting the failures of Reaganomics, Hartmann urges a return to protectionist policies, implementation of fair taxation, focusing on education, and valuing entrepreneurship. The book emphasizes the importance of nurturing democratic values and taking lessons from successful international examples. In order to rebuild the United States, Hartmann calls for the breakup of monopolies, a renewed focus on the environment, and an engaged citizenry ready to fight for their democracy. This blueprint for restoring the American dream has the potential to transform the lives of millions, rewrite the nation's history, and secure a bright future for all.